crucify the price. It is no longer your lips, yet I apply. He gave up his life so I could walk in freedom. He paid up the price.
Are you ready?
Oh, why didn't you tell me? I just told you 1, 2, 3. 1. I mean, y'all ain't gonna introduce.
So hold on, we already introduce you, or
no? I just said my name, but a little backstory.
Oh yeah, what's your backstory? Since you brought it up, what's your backstory then?
Right.
People know.
Let's talk about it.
Let's get into it.
On production, take 2.
No, go on, catch that real you.
Welcome back to Peachable
Moments.
Yes, I am your co-host, Tanisha.
I'm your other co-host, Jade. You can just call me Jade.
And I go by Tanisha, but you can call me Nisha. Yes, and Tanisha is our starring guest.
Our first guest, actually. She's the first guest on the podcast. Sorry.
Reoccurring, yes, definitely. We actually brought her up in one of our first episodes, our beginning episodes. Tanisha is actually my twin sister. This is my girly right here, and we definitely, I talked about her in our last episode about how we walked in Christ, and we're definitely doing that together, all three of us. It's a trio here, and I'm just so excited to share this all, and especially Tanisha's point of view, because me and her, we're kind of like similar, but definitely Tanisha has a way different perspective, being a mom, being full-time, like everything, sister, mom, aunt. So definitely is a great perspective from her.
Yes. Just a quick little summary about my walk with God. So I'm not gonna lie, I always grew up knowing that God was our, only way to heaven, and I grew up loving and knowing God, but I kind of turned my back on Jesus back like around 2020. I think a lot of people was turning into that new age spiritual thing.
Yeah, like the pandemic.
Yeah, around that era. And I definitely went in there. I went in full throttle when my sister passed away, my older sister, and it wasn't really like I had backed away from it coming towards 2021. Like I really wasn't into it like that and all that, and what made me just be a full-time, just gave my life over to Jesus Christ was when I was 7 months pregnant with my second child, my daughter 7. I was in a real bad car accident. I could have lost her, not just my life. I could have lost her as well. And I just was thanking God, and I just didn't know who to talk to, I was so used to just talking to God. I was like, I want to get to know him. So that really made me walk more into Jesus. So I knew a lot about God, but I didn't know a lot about Jesus. And reading the Bible and having that life changing experience really shaped me to the woman that I am today. And I love that.
A great mom, great sister.
Period. Thank you.
Awesome and everything. She's a great friend. So definitely. And I love our walk. I love our friendship because definitely God is what brought us closer. Like we've always been close, but definitely with God we became extremely closer. So we talk about a lot of topics. We spend hours on the phone talk about constant topics, and the main topic we talk about is people pleasing. Me and twin, I can say we grew up being that. Like we were raised to be a people pleaser. And the thing I can say about my sister here is she eventually, even in her teens, she was just like, I ain't going for that. Like,
in certain aspects,
yes. But for me, it took me re-raising myself in my adulthood to understand that I was doing that, and like to re-raise myself and let go of those people pleasing habits. What about you?
No, I definitely agree. I'm a people pleaser by nature, so I just really want people to like me, and I don't want to make people mad, and I always like put people's needs and like feelings above my own, even to my own like demise and detriment. So I think I'm a big people pleaser, and just learning how to not think that way, because you can't please people and God. You have to pick. You know, either you're gonna please people, or that's where Galatians 1:10 step in. Are you living to please men? Or are you living to please God? Because if you live to please men, you will not be an effective servant for Christ. So that's what I'm trying to live for.
And that reminds me what's the second? Genesis. Then what's the second when they talk about Moses?
Exodus.
Yes. Yeah, I don't. But anyway, Exodus. I know, right? Lord, forgive me. But it reminds me of like when Moses was trying to lead the Israelites out of Egypt, and they was not trusting him. And he wanted to please them so bad to get him to. He almost was trying to he was almost trying to please his word and God at the same time. But God had made him like, no, you can't please them. You have to listen to me. That's why he sent a lot of things to Moses to let him know, like, hey, this is what you tell them. Like, don't listen to what they say. Listen to what I say. And ultimately, it led them to the land of Canaan, which is the milk and honey. That's what I liked it about Moses, because when he went up to that mountain for 40 days and 40 nights, like, those people, they didn't know what to do.
Yeah, and he could have started worshiping other gods.
And he could have just. He knew that they were down there doing all that, so he could have just came down there on trying to please them and appease them.
Yeah,
and instead he stayed up there with God for 40 days and 40 nights, and then that's the rest. Like, that's why I feel like. Yes, that was like one of the examples I had known, like, people. I like that how Moses like just stood on with everything he said. Like, I'm pleasing God. I'm not pleasing y'all. And in turn, God showed him, like, he showed them the burning bush. Yeah, in the morning, like, when they were leading, because they didn't know where to go. They didn't know nothing about that. He
showed them the commandments.
Yeah, he showed them the commandments, and it took that for them to believe. And sometimes it still takes more. Like, Joshua had to prove a lot of stuff too when Moses gave him the torch. So it's a lot with people. Ultimately, you can't please nobody. Basically, you gotta follow God, because people gonna still want more and more. You just gotta learn how to say no, or you just gotta learn how to listen to your instinct when you're talking to God.
Yes, and I also want to add to this, like, in a real life perspective, like, I don't know who our audience is, but I know a lot of young people go through this a lot, especially with like peer pressure, because me and my sister, we are not to put our business out, but our sister did pass, and we took on the responsibility of raising our younger niece, and like, she's in her teens now, she's in middle school, and she's just like in that phase where she's trying to make everybody happy, or she's trying to be like, she don't want enemies, or she don't want friends. And I'm just like, let me tell you something, I want to get her really close in the word, because Jesus speaks on that. He was just like, if the world hates you, remember that they hated me first. And you can't please everybody. Like, everybody is not gonna like or say, like, I remember you told me one time, you were just like, you could say you a world full of peaches, somebody could say they like I
was just like, you could be the sweetest peach, and then there could be somebody who don't like peaches.
So like, ultimately you're never going to ultimately you're never going to be satisfy everybody in their whatever,
in your walk with God.
Especially, you cannot please nobody. You, like, it says it, like, you cannot please man and God at the same time.
Because it's gonna conflict, because God is gonna be saying one thing and people are gonna be saying another. So God is gonna be going off his truth. Like, you're gonna be going off God's word and his truth. It's gonna be saying this, and people gonna be like, well, follow your emotions and go do what you want to do. And it's just like, no, like, your heart is deceitful at times, or your flesh wants certain things that they shouldn't want. And so if you're trying to follow God and you're trying to please people, they're gonna conflict, and you're gonna be like confused. But like we said, if you follow God, his word is it's the same as yesterday, as it is today, and it is forever. Like, people change, you know what I'm saying? The trend and times, they always are going to be changing, but God's word is always going to remain the same.
Yes, like, and to go back to what I was saying, like, I don't want to talk about my parents too much, but definitely I was like, we're twins, and like there's always that good twin and bad twin, and like I was definitely the good twin, like, and I think I was more so good because I was pleasing them. Like I was making my mom happy by doing the things that she wanted me to do, not what she said, what she wanted me to do, what she said as well, but what she wanted me to do. And like my dad as well, but definitely with my mom, I feel like I kind of got that trait because that's a whole nother episode. But the thing is, I never wanted to make her mad or upset or disappoint her or things like that. But I learned through the long run, it's nothing you could do to try to make somebody happy or something like that. That comes from their own happiness. Like you can't try to make somebody happy. That's
Yeah, I find myself. You said with your parents, but I find myself like when I was in relationships with different men, I see like he'll make a post like, "Oh, I want my woman." If I'm talking to the man, I want my woman to cook, clean, and all that other stuff. And I'm like, I'm cleaning extra hard. I'm cooking extra hard. I'm on TikTok looking for recipes and stuff that make me like, but that would never be enough. Especially, and then you on top of that, if you start, you got to keep it up. Yeah, and it's like it's only so much that you can keep up with, and trying to please that person. They're falling for this. It's kind of like a catfish. They're falling for this, but you're really like this, and then eventually you're gonna get fed up. And you're just gonna get tired of it, and that's where I was at. And eventually, like wearing that I wouldn't even say a mask, but trying to appease that person is, like I said, it's only gonna go for so long. Like, then you gonna get tired of it. And that's what happened to me. I got tired of it, and I just was asking God to just release me from it, release me from whatever it is. And I mean, I'm kind of still like with my parents now, because my mom called me ass. I'm just so used to pleasing her and making her happy, I automatically say yes. And sometimes, and later on, I'd be like, dang, I really don't feel like doing that, so I have to backtrack. But I'm like a woman of my word, so sometimes I gotta fall through of it. And sometimes I gotta fall through with my obligations I agree with, but I don't like it. But that's when you gotta start setting up boundaries.
Yes, so important.
So I think that's one of the keys to people pleasing is people pleasing. Set up boundaries. Like make sure nobody's messing with your time, taking up all your time, making sure you're not wasting your time. Right. So that's what I would say.
And be selfish at sometimes. Yeah. Like definitely put yourself first. There's nothing wrong with that. Like if you feel like it's third nature to you and you just don't. There's
nothing wrong with being selfish, but there's also nothing wrong with being selfish. Selfless and selfish. Like, I'm allergic to shellfish, so. I'm just so proud of her.
No, it's okay. But honestly, Tanisha, I like what you said about, not like when it comes to like your mother, and like I think that translates to other parts of your life, whether it's your romantic relationships, your platonic, like your friendships, and or your family, like not people pleasing, and not your boundaries, not compromising on your boundaries. Like if you set a boundary, whether it's romantic, platonic, or family, don't compromise it. Don't think about trying to compromise those boundaries for other people, because in the end, if it's gonna hurt you, you're not gonna be able to help them if you're hurting and you're compromising it and backpedaling on what you set for yourself.
Yeah, and it's nothing wrong with going with your first thought when somebody comes and with an obligation or anything like that. Go with your first thought. If you don't feel like doing it, don't do it. You don't have no reason for it. You don't have to. If they ask why, just you don't feel like doing it. That's more of a valid reason than anything. If you don't feel like doing it.
You know what my problem was? Somebody would set a standard for me, and I would always try to fulfill it. Like, definitely, especially when it comes to my friends, relationships, parents. Like, I go out my way. I used to go out my way to feel that expectation, but I was only hurting myself. Like, literally, I would be so drained, so tired, and I'm walking around wondering, why am I tired? Why am I so drained? It's because I'm trying to fulfill feel whatever. And when I tell you, I think 2021 was my year to be selfish, and ever since then I haven't looked back. Now sometimes it's hard because I've been a people pleaser since a kid, so definitely sometimes I feel like if it's something that I can do, I do it. But at the same time, I put myself first, and I've gotten a lot better with it.
Yes, and people will respect you because I can name an example of how what going on. Like, so I have 2 kids, so it'll be times I'll be like, well, Twin, can you watch her or watch him and stuff? And it was to the point. I mean, when I first had my first son, like, I was a first-time mom, so I didn't really know but no better. And I'm like, it's just me and my sister, and I'm single parent at that. So I felt like you were obligated to help me, like, we're sisters. Like, if I need your help, like, let me get my space and all that other stuff. But it took me to realize, like, hey, you have your own life. And I respect that now. Like, once you start saying no and you start putting those boundaries up, she wouldn't tell me no. She would be like, well, I got stuff to do. If she don't, and she'll tell me, and she'll straight up tell me, like, she don't feel like doing it and all that. I have no choice but to respect it. And I still to this day respect it. Like, I ask her, cause she do something and she's not able to do it. Guess what I do? Call the dads. Call somebody. I even with them, like with everybody, like those are my kids, so I'm responsible for them. So, and I'm gonna make sure that they're in the best care as well. And I don't want nobody to feel like, oh, I have to do it. So because when they feel like they have to do it, then they don't have nothing else to do, then they start mistreating my kids and all that other stuff. So I make sure, like, hey, are you sure you can do it? Do you want to do it? And once that happens, then I'm able to trust. But it's like very few, very especially when it comes to my kids.
That's why I be particular. Like, if I'll do it. I got the babies. I care. Like, some people don't care about who they put their kids in. I can't say you care. Like, and
but I feel like at the same time you have your own life. You be thinking I be mad when you be going out of town. I don't care. You can go out of town, do what you want to do. But I be like, I got the kids. But you're not the only one. Like, our family, like. Me and Jay relate on this a lot because we're single. We're in our
20s.
We're in our 20s, and then a lot of family feel like they can bother us because
they can just pop because
we ain't got no man.
You don't have any obligations, and it's honestly to that point when y'all had said about like boundaries and stuff like that. In the sense of it, kind of like bringing it back to a biblical point. It's just like doing things out of being genuine. And like I think it reminds me of somewhere in the New Testament, probably was like one of the Gospels, where Jesus was like looking at the Pharisees and he was more concerned about they were like how much money they were giving, and people were like, the Pharisees were like giving a whole bunch of money, but it was out of greed and was out of just pride, versus people who only were able to give like a penny, equivalent back to that time, a penny, but it was all they had, and they were just so genuine. So being genuine when you say I'm going to do something, just being genuine about it.
I mean, that's what it's all about. That's part of having the fruits of the spirit. Is being a genuine person. So.
Yes, but definitely, and that goes back to our family. Sometimes even with you too, you can relate to like a family think that it's not just family too, but my friends did too. Like, just because I don't have this or I'm not doing this, like I have a lot of time on my hands.
Oh, they see you with this person hanging out on this day, then they think that you can hang out. They can hang out with you on this day.
It don't work like that.
It don't work like that, especially with me. Like they just caught me on a kid free day. So.
But back to the topic, people pleasing, like definitely we know a few. What about you? You have some people pleasing stories. How do you feel about it?
That's actually really hard. I don't know. Like, I people please a lot, so I'm trying to figure out. I'm going through my memory right now.
I don't think you people please.
I don't think she do.
I do a lot.
Let me tell you, I be peer pressuring you and everything. You do not come.
Jay gonna be like, I'll think about it.
Yeah. This shit could be like, I be pressing her. I be pressing Jade. I be like, Jade, let me drive your car. Let me drive your car.
Okay, so look, made me feel so bad. Okay, hold on. I got a moment. Speaking about my car, because there's a moment in like when we were all working at Johnny G's together, and you were like, something happened, like your car, something happened with your car, you lost it or something like that, and you were like, Jay, can I use your car to like buy me some lunch? I'm like, yeah, and you were like. Saying, I was like, are you give my card back when you done? Don't spend too much money on my card. And I felt so bad. I was like, I don't even remember this. I think I was just asked so I don't lose my card.
You were just asking so many questions. I'm like, I don't even want a card no more. I don't even.
And I remember, like, I was being so bad. And then to that point, bringing it back full circle about my car, they swear I do not want anybody driving my car. I be like playing with them, and they be like, I'd be like, where are my keys? I can give y'all my keys.
I'm like, girl,
you know.
don't even play. You don't even let nobody hold your keys.
Nobody even touch them keys. I don't even know what the keys look like.
Yes.
No, stop. I swear they think that.
She'll succumb to that people pleasing stuff.
I think I do it a lot of times. I think for me personally, I just want to make people happy, and I want them to, I want to be genuine, but I think, like you said, you can reach a burning point where you can burn out if you want to please people so much that you overcommit yourself. And then now I'm doing that. I have to, not that I get to. Yeah. So if that makes sense. More so in terms of like, I've told this person I was gonna hang out with them, or I was gonna take them to this place. Yeah. Instead of me being like, I genuinely want to take them to help them do whatever the thing, or I want to spend time with them. Now it's more so I'm operating out of, I have to do it, and it's not genuine anymore. So now I'm in that area where I'm just like, man, I don't really want to do it, but I'm gonna do it because I want to look good. I want it to look right, instead of it being like I genuinely have a good heart.
Right.
In a sense sometimes.
Yeah. I was talking about that with my therapist. And my therapist was just like, steps, like one of the good steps that you can work on with people pleasing is work on your non-negotiables. Like, it's something that's like a boundary you can put up. Like, there's no, you can't ask me that question. No, you already know.
You don't even have to make it cute or like be like, I'd rather not that. No.
And like I used to be so mad. I mean, I used to feel so bad for saying no.
Same.
Yeah,
I still kind of do feel bad for saying no, but when I say no, it takes a lot for me to say no. I have to, because I usually like any questions that I answered, any questions that somebody gives me, like the answer was automatically yes. Like yeah. So working on my non-negotiables, starting with friends. She told me like start with friends first, then relationships, and then once you start putting up those boundaries, you're gonna slowly start knowing your worth. You're gonna start knowing your time's worth. You're gonna start knowing a lot about yourself. Like that word "no" is very powerful in a sense. So I don't mean to say like, cause it has to be a dire moment for me now in order for me to get up and just move. And now, like it gotta be a reason. You know? It can't just be just off of that. And then now, like with my mom, she's so used to me saying yes. Like when I finally tell her no, I'm so used to cutting her off for saying no. Now when I say no, like she respects it,
right?
And that's just like with friends, anything. But when you have a certain amount of respect for someone, they will never cross that boundary for you.
Exactly.
So that's why I feel like respect me first before you know.
So we always at the end we like to talk about our Peachable moment. So what do you say? I think you kind of wrapped that. You think you kind of said that with the therapist, but definitely, what is your Peachable moment with people pleasing?
Know your worth. Know your time's worth with people pleasing. Is it worth it?
Yeah.
Weigh out your options. I will also say know your non-negotiables. Like learn yourself. Learn how to say no. And learn what to say yes to.
Yes, and to piggyback off of that is learn yourself. I was telling my niece, like, you got to learn yourself before the world tells you who you are. Exactly. You need to know who you are before the world tells you. And the world is always going to be wrong.
Exactly.
So, yes. And my Peachable moment is, honestly, and this is my advice to every time I want to give advice and like somebody come to me, especially like relationships or something like that, but anytime you're living to please man and you want some advice, I always say eventually you will get tired.
Yes.
Eventually, yes.
Eventually. Like, seriously, sometimes it could be right at that moment, or it could be 10 years from now. Eventually you will get tired. If it's something third nature to you, or something that you feel like, you're putting yourself last, you will get tired, and eventually you're going to put yourself first. So definitely when you come to that moment, that's when you know.
You don't want to be 50, 60 at that moment. You want to
yeah,
while you're young.
yeah, you do it while you're young, and even if you are 50, 60, you still. It's never too late and it's actually never too late to put. I used to think it, like, especially like with mom and all that type of stuff, like she done skated through all my life, you know, with me being a people pleaser. Like, what's the point of putting up a boundary now? It's never too late to put a boundary up or nothing. That's what your mom, your significant other, family, anybody, friends, it's never too late. So definitely
I agree.
I definitely agree too.
Mm-hmm.
And
so what's your Peachable moment?
I guess it's something last to go. I would say my Peachable moment from people pleasing is just, it's okay to say no, like you both have said. Mm-hmm. And even as a Christian, I think people will sometimes be like, well, you know, you're a Christian, you're supposed to be, you know, serving other people, and that is true. You're supposed to serve others and love your neighbor as you love yourself, like love God and, you know, bring him glory. But you can do that in the same sense by still setting boundaries. Like, you can still say no, assert that no, and still be in the right standing with God. And even if men look at you and say like, oh, you're not a Christian, blah blah blah, like you said, know your worth and know your identity is in Christ. And know, if as long as it's still pleasing God, it's okay to say no. It's just make sure that the
I agree with that.
Yeah, no, as long as you're still pleasing God, it's okay to say no and take a reprieve and, you know, get a break and then come back. So whether it's what you say, your friends, your significant other, your family, whatever the person or issue is.
Yes. So definitely.
Before we close it out, I'm sorry. One more Bible story. Y'all remember in Genesis, was it Jacob who was trying to please Leah and what's Leah's sister name? Rachel's mom. You remember he was trying to please her dad so he could get to
Yes. And he ended up having to marry Leah, and he did not want Leah.
Not at all.
He wanted Rachel.
You see how it is. He was trying to please him for 7 years?
Yeah.
He had to do it another 7 years.
Yes.
Look, he had 12 kids and 12.
And he only cared about two out of all of the 12, and that was the kids that Rachel had. So definitely,
that's wild. That's so crazy.
And you see, you don't want to please nobody, and you 14 years in a hole trying to.
You don't want to be like Leah, because first of all, she just studied having these babies by him. She thinking every time she had a baby, she thinking every time she had a baby, they would come back to get you know. And then she even fronted Rachel. She was just like, what you doing?
Trying to please Jacob. She had all them kids trying to please Jacob, and Jacob didn't even want her.
So you said don't be like Jacob. Don't be like Jacob either, but don't be like Leah. Like she literally was the epitome. I think she was the first person to have a baby with a guy to keep him, and it did not keep him, because when Esau came, when he thought Esau was coming to, you know, get revenge, get his way back,
tell him that part.
He lined all Leah's kids up like in the second row, like y'all gonna protect me and Rachel kids.
That's wild.
So that's one of that. I was like, what's a good people pleasing story? That's definitely one was like he definitely and like with Jacob, like he thought he was gonna get Leah. What was it, Leah? Which
Rachel. He liked Rachel.
He thought he was gonna get Rachel, but he wound up getting. But I mean, he ultimately ended up getting Leah, but. You want to skip the middleman. You want to do it. So that's one of the stories I say I relate to.
So definitely, if you enjoyed us, ladies, please like, comment, and share, subscribe. Yes, you can follow us on Instagram at Peachable_moment. And you can also follow us on TikTok. We are at Peachable_moment. And YouTube. Peachable Moments. So yes, definitely. And leave us a comment, please. We love to hear back from you all. What was your
Peachable moment.
Yes, what was your Peachable moment? So definitely. Well, until the meantime,
Thanks
see you all later.
Yeah,
Bye-bye.